The statistics are alarming. But until you connect faces to them, numbers can remain abstract, impersonal. Behind the numbers are real lives, women, children, and men, with spirits broken as badly as any bones, wounds as deep as any bruise. Founded in 1977, Alexandra House is a refuge, providing crisis intervention and shelter for victims of sexual and domestic violence. But victims of abuse need much more than a safe place to stay. So over the years, we've expanded what we do to meet their emotional and psychological needs as well. You see, the scars of abuse run deep, and the wounds beneath the surface can be the hardest to heal.
Well, actually, I wasn't aware that I was being abused at the time I was being abused.
He lied a lot, and he'd make me feel bad when I'd confront him about it. I feel like that's where it started. And then it was emotional. He just put in comments that would make me feel a little more insecure with myself.
He was a drug user, and a lot of that came back at me, trying to get him clean, trying to help him. He had to have my attention. He had to have everything he wanted. If it didn't go his way, I dealt with the consequences of it.
He said, if you think about leaving me, then I'll kill you and my son. And I didn't think really or focus that that was abuse.
He didn't even go to my school, but he had people at my school who would harass me, who would throw things at me. If I talked to a male, he knew about it before the school day was over.
Eventually, he started to get violent when I wouldn't back down. His method of choice was strangulation.
He had the back of my hair when he was jerking my head around, and I was holding a baby.
Cornering me in a corner where I couldn't force my way out, being trapped.
My dad also abused me, and I would tell my mom about it, but she was just like, he just needs another chance. He's going through it a lot.
It was the fear of leaving. All of those seeds he planted in my head years before. He instilled in me that he could hurt or harm me and my son.
I left. I took my son and I left, and I stayed at my mom's one-bedroom apartment on her couch. And then he apologized, begged me to come back, promised me he'd change. And then another month later, it happened again.
Those instances escalated to eventually him putting his hands on me and punching me in the head. That's when I knew I had to leave.
I've always liked to pride myself on being a strong, independent woman. I didn't want to be known as a victim. I was embarrassed that I let it happen multiple times. I had always told my friends, like, if that ever happened to me, I'd leave. Didn't understand till I was in the situation how hard that can be.
I didn't think that that's where I would end up, in a shelter. But I could not collect my thoughts after this incident happened to me. And I needed a place of peace.
Alexandra House operates a 24-hour helpline and provides free emergency shelter for up to 35 women and children at a time. Basic needs are provided for, and advocates work with each client individually, offering support and connecting them with valuable community resources.
We stayed at Alexandra House for about 3 weeks, and as the time progressed, we got more comfortable in it. It started to feel like, all right, we can sleep here, we know that we're safe.
They kept me away from the lies and the manipulation and the controlling. And you need to be away from that. You need to have not that side going on in your head.
I thought I was out on an island all by myself. I thought this only would happen to me, but it doesn't. It happens to a lot of women and families.
In addition to providing shelter, Alexandra House offers survivors of sexual violence and domestic abuse a full array of wraparound services.
I utilize many of the services provided by Alexandra House.
Here I was, all of a sudden, single, going through a bunch of different court things. I had the felony strangulation case, no contact order. They go with you to court. They help you understand what's going on.
We had support groups in the evening where women here in the shelter, as well as people from the community, can just show up and talk about their experiences.
Being able to share my life with other people in a safe place was beautiful.
They helped me find a house to rent that was affordable. They helped pay part of my rent while I was finishing up paramedic school. They are a big reason that I'm out on my own with my son and successful.
In so many ways, Alexandra House is working to heal wounds, rebuild lives, and put an end to domestic and sexual violence, one life at a time.
Alexandra House makes a huge difference because I see it every day with the clients that I work with. Whether it's accessing our 24-hour crisis line, coming to our shelter for support, or following up with their advocate that they've been working with for weeks, months, sometimes years until they really feel like they're in a safe, stable environment. They know that they can count on somebody to be there for them.
Those who are experiencing violence and isolation can come here and fully be embraced by a caring community who says you matter, we care about you, and we will be with you every step of the way.
I can't imagine what this process would have been without the help and support of Alexandra House. And I needed them at that time in my life, and for me to be the best person that I could be and the mom I could be for my son.
Working with the Alexandra House, and through them I was able to grow and learn who I was and discover that I had a voice.
I didn't think that any relationship violence would ever happen to me, and 2 years later it did, and 4 years later I stand up for it. Like, I don't want it to happen. I don't want domestic violence in anybody's life.
What surprised me most about the Alexandra House was just how much they do help. I had no idea going in when I did that night that they'd become such a big part of my life.